we know we don't live in a perfect world, and there's always going to be faults within our lives. And it's a matter of us choosing our perspective, choosing to see obstacles as opportunities, choosing to see setbacks as set-ups, and choosing to see burdens as blessings. It really is all up here.
And a big welcome back to the Ask Bo Parrish Show. I'm Dave Erickson alongside Bo Parrish. By the way, if you do have a question for Bo, use the hashtag AskBoParrish on Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube. And today's question comes from Susan Bo. It is, my daughter is 4 weeks into a 12-week singing lessons program, and she wants to quit. I'm not so much worried about the money as much as I am the importance of her following through on her commitment. What's your advice to her about not quitting?
Ooh, what a great topic, Dave. Thank you, Susan, for the question. I think 4 weeks into a 12-week series and your daughter already wants to quit. Now, you already referenced it's not due to financial matters, so that's not so much of a concern, but it's the life lesson at stake here is that if your daughter quits 1/3 of the way through a course, what's that telling her subconsciously about any commitment she makes herein and thereafter? Well, I think it's a matter of choosing what's uncomfortable, sticking to that which does not feel good in the moment, because after all, it is a feeling. We choose our feelings. Feelings aren't given to us. They're not a product of our experiences. We choose how we want to react to the path that we also choose. Your daughter's the one who started the singing lessons. So why in the world would you allow her to quit, particularly 4 weeks into it? There's a lot at stake here. It may seem minimal. After all, we are talking about singing lessons, but there's a greater lesson to be learned here. That which is started should always be finished. Because at some point, particularly with anything new, there's going to be a time where your talent is going to lag. And particularly that's in the beginning stages. But if you apply yourself consistently and with full commitment, ultimately that talent is going to catch up. And when you start to hone your craft, it inevitably will start to become more fun. Not only do you learn how to sing proficiently, but you also have the inner payoff of sticking to what you said it was you were going to do before you even started out. I think it'll take your daughter well through life if you actually encourage her to stick to it. Don't force her, encourage her, because that is a matter of finding the thirsty horses as opposed to trying to lead that horse to water if it doesn't want to drink.
I know this is probably a younger student here in this 12-week program, but let's say there's an adult who's at a job and maybe they're on a contract, maybe they're not, but they're really having a hard time to follow through and I don't like my circumstances, I don't like my boss, I'm not getting along with people, I'd rather quit. But as adults, we rely on income to pay our bills. Suggestions for people in the real world?
Well, so, we've always heard the fairy tale phrase that says there is a silver lining in everything. And depending on the situation that we're in, particularly if we're not happy, we're going to tend to poke holes, to find faults, to call ourselves victim of our surroundings. And that's no way to live. As a matter of fact, that is what famous author Carol Dweck references as the scarcity mentality as opposed to the abundance mentality, is that we're either one or the other. We think and we operate from an abundance, which leads to an overflow of joy, or we speak or operate from a mindset of scarcity, which says there's only so much good that can go around. And if I'm not experiencing the good in my work right now, then it's probably not going to be had. And you mentioned we need money to live. In a perfect world, that would not be the case, but We know we don't live in a perfect world, and there's always going to be faults within our lives. And it's a matter of us choosing our perspective, choosing to see obstacles as opportunities, choosing to see setbacks as set-ups, and choosing to see burdens as blessings. It really is all up here.
One other thing that comes to mind is the reputation that you create for yourself as someone who quits, as a quitter, or your lack of character, because if you set forth on a task and you pull out, well, then few people can rely on you in the future because you've set that precedent.
Absolutely, Dave, and I'm glad you mentioned those two different terms, and I want to distinguish between the two. Reputation is who the world says you are. Character is who you are when no one is watching. Character is what you carry with you all throughout your life, no matter what the world says. You can put on a certain front for a certain period of time, and I think this term would be called a poser, where you're a chameleon, you take on your surroundings, but your character is all you have that takes you through this entire life. And that absolutely needs to be rock solid.
If you got a question for Bo, use the hashtag AskBoParish on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Susan, thanks for the question, and Bo, great answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks, Dave.